free stuff, just not free peanuts at Five Guys. They're out campaigning in direct defiance against long-serving members of their Democrat Party.
But one of their intended candidates is under fire for her views on whether murderers should go to prison.
Bill Melugin is live at the White House with the very latest. Good morning, Bill.
Hey, Griff, good morning to you. It is not going to surprise anybody these days, but New York City Mayor 𝗧𝗢𝗦𝗡𝗏𝗡𝗡 is standing firmly by the side of a fellow Democratic socialist running for Congress in New York. And this is a person who has said a lot of things that raise a whole lot of eyebrows and has basically taken about as far left positions as you can get. So we'll get into her. Her name is 𝗧𝗥𝗘𝗡𝗗𝗡𝗚. She's running for Congress in New York's 13th district. She has said a number of things in now deleted posts between 2018 and 2022 on social media, including that she wants to abolish borders, abolish prisons, and police is abolishing all those things is, quote, possible, necessary, and the only moral way forward. She has also said that all deportation is wrong and, quote, yes, literally abolish the border. She's also made some anti-American comments saying, quote, this country is a effing disgrace in another post. She also added, quote, I forgot to get napkins, so I just wiped my hand on the American flag behind me in yet another post. Now, New York City Mayor 𝗧𝗢𝗦𝗡𝗏𝗡 and Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders were both campaigning for 𝗧𝗢𝗡𝗖𝗓 in New York on Thursday.
And that, my friends, is why we need to elect 𝗧𝗢𝗣𝗑𝗡𝗏𝗡. Ďari is exactly who the people of the Bronx and Upper Manhattan deserve representing them in Congress.
The next 4 days, everybody here and everybody in the city has got to work hard to make sure that Brad and Claire and Daralisa become the next congresspeople for New York City.
Now listen to this. 𝗧𝗢𝗣𝗑𝗡𝗏𝗡 sat down with the New York editorial board where she repeatedly dodged questions on how she thinks murderers should be handled as a self-proclaimed prison abolitionist. The questioner said, quote, I went to a sentencing last week. A man killed another man, didn't know the person, just sitting on a stoop, got an 18-year prison sentence. Should that person not go to prison, and what should happen instead? She replies, quote, so, you know, for prison abolitionists, I think a lot of folks misunderstand what that vision of the world actually is, and it is one that actually centers this question of harm. At the heart of what we're asking is, why is that there? Why is there that there's so much harm in our society? She ended up dodging that question multiple times. And back out here live, she's also running on completely abolishing ICE. She's previously called Joe Biden a rapist. She's previously said, quote, F Kamala Harris. Back during the COVID-19 pandemic, she urged the government to provide about $3,000 a month to everybody in basic universal income. She said pharmaceutical companies and private medical insurance should be dissolved. She also suggested that Medicare should be expanded to every single citizen and private property be seized from landlords. So that right there is what gets you an endorsement from Bernie Sanders and 𝗧𝗢𝗢𝗡𝗏𝗡𝗏 these days, guys. We'll send it back to you.
Incredible.
Unbelievable. All right, Bill Melugin, thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
You know, it's really amazing when you look at where all of these things are, these policies are taking, or politicians rather, are taking hold. They're all in Democrat strongholds. Everywhere you look at where this stuff, this rot is being sold is in places where Democrats have had a stranglehold on politics for a long time. This is not a rejection of America or American values or Republicans. This is a rejection of the Democrat Party. That's the only places this nonsense flourishes are in places where Democrats have controlled for many, many years. And if you go around and you talk to, and they love to talk about the working class, you talk to anybody who is a normal worker in this country, they are not talking about open borders. They are not talking about abolishing prisons. They are not talking about giving the government this power to take everything away from people. I think that this stuff, it flourishes in places like New York City, and then it dies there.
You know, asking a candidate if a murderer should go to prison is not a trick question. It's unbelievable that this is the candidate. But I think at the root of this is our education system. Yes, you're right. It's going to, you know, these ideas, these communist foreign ideas, because communism is foreign to our country, is brought here by the progressives.
Does not work with any of our ideals.
Completely true. So it's this foreign idea that's been implanted. And
so I wanted to pause it right there. Now, if you noticed, a lot of the, there were a lot of different signs behind her, and it's because they were running as a slate. And it's interesting because I have been encouraging that, because that's actually how we won the town of Roseland as the Redemption Party. They ran as a slate. So now that's starting to catch on, because people are like, okay, we can completely flip the table if you guys all run together, because we know you're all on the same page. Now, if there are more people that come out that are these democratic socialists, that's going to happen. And it's interesting because really the only people that can afford socialism are the people that have money, telling everybody else that everything should be equal and that millionaires and billionaires are evil people. But you're the same millionaires and billionaires. You have money. You can afford socialism. But for the average person, they can't. And you're telling them, nope, you shouldn't have a business. The government will take care of you. Well, what happens when the money runs out? Because if no one's working, no one's paying taxes, who's paying the taxes now? Because no one's working, right? So nobody can buy anything. Socialism does not work. It doesn't work. It leads to death and destruction. It doesn't work. And it's going to be interesting because people are going to find this out the hard way. Now, what I did is I took a look at, it's actually the Federalist 10 papers. Sorry, you guys, because I always talk about Federalist 19 and Thomas Jefferson. No, it's actually Federalist 10, James Madison. So if you hear me talking about the Federalist 19 papers, I meant this, but I completely got the numbers wrong and the person. So I do apologize. So I'm doing this kind of as a retraction, but also to point out some facts just about where I see New York City and New York State heading. So here's an outline of the Federalist 10 papers and the warning. So yes, here's a clear outline. And this was written by James Madison in November 22, 1787. And these Federalist papers were pretty much done by individuals that had founded the country, some not, but they were in the political realm and they had a voice to point out, okay, we just got this country together, because as you notice, that's 1787. So that's after 1776, obviously. And really writing to inform people, hey, if we go down a certain path, we may not have a country anymore. So you need to be careful. So a lot of these papers were really warnings. So a well-constructed union, this was the main thesis, right? The proposed U.S. Constitution, right, is the best safeguard against the dangers of factions in a popular Republican government. Factions are the greatest threat to stability, justice, and liberty in democracies, right? But a large republic can control their harmful effects. So that was very interesting to me. And it says here, Madison defines a faction as a number of citizens, whether amounting to a majority or a minority of the whole, who are united and actuated by some common impulse of passion or of interest adverse to the rights of other citizens. So, for example, she was like, oh yeah, people shouldn't be put in prison, should be abolished. And when she was asked, so should this murderer be set free? She wouldn't answer the question, but based on what you've been saying, you want a murderer set free. And it is adverse to the rights of other citizens because it's going to put other people in danger. Yeah. Or to the permanent and aggregate interest of the community. So factions arise naturally from human nature, right? Especially from unequal distribution of property, the most common and durable source, but also from religion, politics, leaders' ambitions, etc. So it's not just, and that's what I really want to show. It's like, it's not just the democratic socialists. It can also be individuals that have a religious zealot mindset as well. It would put other people in danger because they're not thinking about the safety of others. They're just saying, my idea is better than yours, and You need to do what I say.